Hey, folks. You ever had that situation where you walk into a packy store, we used to call them, but it's a wine.
I haven't heard that since I was a kid.
Yeah, dude. But around here, we call them wine shops. And you walk into the wine shop and you just sort of stare blankly at all the wines, and you have no idea what you want. And if you ask, you're going to get a story about every wine, and you don't know if it's going to be real or not, and they're going to upsell. And I am done with that. Why? Because of Naked Wines. This podcast is sponsored by Naked Wines. And what Naked is, it's a wine club that directly connects you with the world's best independent winemakers, so you can get world-class wine delivered straight to your door without any middlemen. Use our code MAJORITY for the code and the password at nakedwines.com, and you'll get 6 bottles for just $39.99. We had a little bit for Rosh Hashanah last night at my house. A very nice petite Syrah. I know wines that I like, varieties of grape and whatnot. I've gotten somewhat, I'm not sophisticated, but I know a little more than I used to because my sister worked for an Italian wine company for a long time. And her standards are extremely high. She signs off on this. We had some, it's basically our go-to now. And it's also, you're safe when you want to bring I'm going over to these people for dinner. I do this about once a year. And then you bring a bottle of wine. Naked brings you wine straight from the winery, up to 60% less than you would pay in a store because markups are enormous. There's no middleman markups. There's not the same sort of marketing. The only thing they don't cut out is the quality. Naked Wines has been around for over 15 years. It backs over 90 independent winemakers around the world to make the wine you love to drink. And now is the time to join Naked Wines community. Head to nakedwines.com/majority. Click enter voucher. Put in our code MAJORITY for both the code and the password. 6 bottles of wine for just $39.99 with shipping included. That's $100 off your first 6 bottles at nakedwines.com/majority. Use the code and the password MAJORITY for 6 bottles of wine, $39.99. We'll put the link and all of that information in the podcast and YouTube description. And now time for the show.
The Majority Report with Sam Seder.
The destiny of America is always safer in the hands of the people than in the conference rooms of any elite.
Sam Seder.
They are unanimous in their hate for me, and I welcome their hatred.
We must guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military-industrial complex.
The Majority Report with Sam Seder.
Ever get the feeling you've been cheated?
It is Wednesday, September 24th, 2025. My name is Sam Seder. This is the 5-time award-winning Majority Report. We are broadcasting live steps from the industrially ravaged Gowanus Canal in the heartland of America, downtown Brooklyn, USA. On the program today, Hannah Gaskill and Dan Belson, reporters at the Baltimore Sun, who are planning a byline strike in about a month because of the cuts at that 200-year-old newspaper. Also on the program today, Trump tells the rest of the world, your countries are going to hell. Also, please give me the Peace Prize.
America's so hot right now.
We're the hottest country.
Sorry if I'm being negative. I had to take the stairs.
Meanwhile, President Trump and the entire MAGA movement enraged that Jimmy Kimmel is back on the air, the late night talk show host. They're enraged by it. Meanwhile, 6 days until a government shutdown, and Republicans have refused to negotiate with a begging Chuck Schumer. And speaking of Chuck Schumer, his leadership now has become toxic for all the people running for the Senate across the country. Trump does a 180 on Ukraine, says all territory can be regained in a move oddly designed to help the economy of this country. Israel once again attacks a humanitarian flotilla. Georgia Governor Kemp traveling to South Korea to beg Hyundai to return to Georgia as U.S. now considered a hostile work environment.
I mean, we just sicked ice on you. It's so sensitive.
Man, all we did was chain 300, y'all.
Treasury Secretary Belson giving $20 billion more to bail out failed libertarian Javier Milei's project in Argentina. And a shooting at an ICE facility leaves 2 detainees and the killer dead. No ICE thugs reported injured. All this and more on today's Majority Report. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks so much for joining us. Emma Vigeland out today, unrelated to the Naked Wines advertisement earlier. She went to a concert last night. And I don't know. I guess, what do the kids do at a concert these days?
Hydrate.
There you go. Poppers? Are people still doing poppers?
I don't think Emma did poppers at Chapel Roan.
Okay.
It's a different party.
All right.
Different kind of party.
I don't go out, so. So as you probably heard, because it's a huge story, and let's be clear, there's a couple of things you should know about the context of Kimmel coming back. It is quite clear that many people canceled their Disney Hulu package. And a lot of this is, people like have been meaning to cancel their Disney Hulu package, and then they just have a compelling reason. Like, half of this industry is really built upon banking on your laziness. And a month goes by and you're like, I meant to quit it. And then another month goes by, I meant to quit it. Another month goes by, I meant to quit it.
Shout out Literary Hangover patrons.
I will say the Majority Report is one of the only renewing subscriptions that I am aware of that actually sends you a payment reminder that your payment's coming up, which is absolutely not best practices to maintain a subscription business, I can assure you. But that is the case. And coincidentally, Disney had planned to send out an announcement that they were raising their rates as of yesterday, or maybe it was Monday. And they anticipate when they raise their rates, it reminds people that they've signed up. It makes people go like, wait a second, all I did was watch Andor over the course of 5 years.
Makes all sorts of people say that.
I could just buy it on Apple TV or something like that and have saved me, hundreds of dollars.
How many murders can happen in this building?
Exactly. And so they know they're going to lose a certain percentage of people when they make that announcement, if only because it's reminding people they're still subscribed. And I think that they realized they were going to take a massive hit here on in terms of Jimmy Kimmel. And I would also imagine there was a lot of people, and the hit wasn't just from consumers. I think they were getting a lot of pressure internally from people who worked for the network, who were big producers for the network. There were people already saying that, I don't have a job with them, but big, substantial producers are like, I would never work with them now.
Zoran canceled a town hall, and then
Zoran
rescheduled
canceled a
it
town
since.
hall. I mean, they're you're seeing the efficacy at least, and there's also, I imagine, some awareness that Disney was calculating, like, it doesn't matter how much we pay or how much tribute we pay to Trump. In the end, we can't satiate this guy, so we might as well go the other direction. So Kimmel's on air, and now they're all of the right wingers are trying to backpedal and make this not a loss for Trump's intimidation, because the government never had anything to do with it, according to them. And of course, we know that's not the case. We know the reporting, but listen to their story here. This is Jesse Waters and former
Speaker,
Comm Secretary Kylie McEnany.
It's a whole compilation.
Yeah.
People, though.
I've never heard them care about the Constitution so much. Their First Amendment. This has nothing to do with the First Amendment. This has to do with the business decision, as you noted.
So the decision to suspend and I suspect eventually cancel Kimmel is a business decision by ABC.
But similar to Kimmel, he's getting the boot because, well, he was just bad for business.
You can like or not like Disney's decision on Kimmel. But until I see proof of actual government coercion of their decision, this is about Disney making a business decision about its brand.
Yeah, that was obviously a business decision, as evidenced by the fact they're going to reinstate him. I think he's going to be on the air later tonight. So I think it was a business decision.
And if ABC wants to
pause it for 1 second. I just wanted to, some people may not know that was Jim Jordan, who was wrestling with the question of Jimmy Kimmel. I say wrestling only because he was a former wrestling coach, and he actually was, I think, mentioned in a lawsuit because he didn't protect the wrestling students who came to him and said, we're being preyed upon by a pedophile.
Yeah, I wonder if he canceled his Netflix subscription after they put out a documentary that heavily features him in that story.
That's a business decision. All right, I'm sorry, continue.
ABC wants to suspend you because you got wrong the assassin of Charlie Kirk. More power to them. That's got nothing to do with the First Amendment. That's a business decision.
Now, I will agree that absent the pressure from the FCC and absent the pressure of from the White House, a business decision is a business decision. But how could we possibly, like Chris Cuomo said, until I see evidence? Well, we've seen the reporting. We've seen the statements by Trump 4 months ago saying Kimmel is next. We saw the FCC step in and his response to people saying you can't do that. And here is more evidence. Like, I don't know what other evidence you need other than a cable from the FCC saying, we're not going to allow for your mergers or your licenses or your E&O, your O&O deals unless you take off Kimmel, which highly unlikely someone's going to write that. But here is Donald Trump basically making a laughingstock of all those people who say it was not the White House and government involvement in censoring Jimmy Kimmel. I can't believe ABC fake news gave Jimmy Kimmel his job back. Now, I know there's a chance that maybe Trump is trying to sort of like make it like he's too insane or unknowledgeable to actually have threatened ABC, because it's not ABC News, it's ABC, the network. But nevertheless, go ahead. ABC News gave Jimmy Kimmel his job back. The White House was told by ABC that his show was canceled. Something happened between then and now because his audience is gone and his talent was never there. Why would they want someone back who does so poorly, who's not funny, and who puts the network in jeopardy by playing 99% positive Democrat garbage? He is yet another arm of the DNC, and to the best of my knowledge, that would be a major illegal campaign contribution.
All in caps for some reason?
Yeah.
Is Fox News a campaign contribution in that case?
Okay. I think we're going to test ABC out on this. Let's see how we do. Last time I went after them, they gave me $16 million. This one sounds even more lucrative. A true bunch of losers. Let Jimmy Kimmel rot in his bad ratings. Okay, well, there's a couple of things that tell on himself. Here, put this back up. I wonder how many companies that are going to pull a product, cancel a show, notify the White House in advance. I mean, ABC told the White House that they were going to cancel Jimmy Kimmel. Did they give him a heads up on like, did CBS say like, we're going to renew Matlock this year? Just thought you'd know, want to know. Or, we're going to have to take off Housewives of New Jersey. Like, is this common practice where TV networks report to the White House their scheduling decisions? Unlikely. And when he says, we're going to test, I think we're going to test ABC out on this. What does that mean? And if it was a business decision to get rid of him, why did they bring him back when it became clearly a political issue? I mean, I think anybody who went on air and claimed that this is absolutely, I mean, of course, I understand why the right wingers do it because they're just trying to pretend. But save those clips because we're going to need them, next time Cracker Barrel decides they want to change their logo, which incidentally, I should just say, just as an
Dylan
aside,
Mulvaney.
If you look at all of those fast food restaurants, they have all genericized their branding and the shape of their buildings. And it's because that industry has just become a land swap.
Mm-hmm. Private equity.
It's a total private equity type of situation. All of those things, it's really, those restaurants exist to basically pay the carrying cost of the real estate underneath. And the ease in which they can flip it is a function of just how generic the building on there is. Oh, this is McDonald's. It could be a Walgreens. Oh, it's a Cracker Barrel. Oh, it's Pizza Hut. It doesn't matter. But that's an aside. All right, in a minute, we're going to be talking to Hannah Gaskill and Dan Belson. They're reporters at the Baltimore Sun. They are pushing back against what really appears to be disastrous leadership at that historical newspaper. I don't know if there's many newspapers that have been around in this country anymore that are as old as the Baltimore Sun. We will get to them in just a moment. And then later, we obviously have more stories to talk about, not the least of which Trump doing a 180 on Ukraine and Chuck Schumer attempting to justify his leadership when it is under assault from just about every possible way in the Democratic Party. First, want to remind you, people think the only time to plant is in the spring. Well, you're wrong. The fall is also good. It's a great time to get in there, have them establish roots over the course of the next month, month and a half, depending on your growing zone. Then they go dormant. And then come spring, boom, they go crazy. And many plants and trees actually do better when they're planted in the fall. But how do you know where to start? What should I get? FastGrowingTrees.com. Doesn't matter if you live in the sunny South or if you are in a zone 5 like we are here. Their plant experts can help you find the perfect fit for your space. They got all the plants that your yard or your home needs. They got fruit trees. They got privacy trees. They got flowering trees. They got shrubs. They got so much more. This is one of those sponsors that I was using for years before they became a sponsor. I got tall grass from them. I got bloomerangs, which are lilacs that actually bloom twice over the course of the year. I got Arkansas black apple. I got Hosea pears from them. Excellent. all of their trees have a live and thrive guarantee, they call it. And the beauty of fast-growing trees is they have a much bigger selection than your box stores. You don't have to put the plants in your back of your car and get dirt all over the place and damage them. And they send very, very tall trees, like 5 or 6 feet, ones that are basically a year away from sometimes fruiting. So I don't know that they grow faster, but you will definitely have fruit faster, or blossoms, or whatever it is you're looking for. Whether you're looking to add some plants inside your home, you can talk to a plant expert about your soil type, your landscape design, how to take care of those plants inside, everything else you need. Every plant comes with instructions and tips to care for your new plants so they can grow to their fullest potential. This fall, they have the best deals for your yard, up to half off select plants and other deals. Listeners to our show get 15% off their first purchase when using the code MAJORITY at checkout. That's 15% off at fastgrowingtrees.com using the code MAJORITY at checkout. Now is the perfect time to plant. Use Majority to save today. Offer valid for a limited time. Terms and conditions may apply. Check out the link below or in the show notes and support the show. Also, just a reminder, if you like deep, thoughtful, progressive analysis, which I assume you guys do, you're going to love the print or digital edition of Current Affairs magazine. Current Affairs combines intelligent commentary, biting political satire, and actually impressively beautiful artwork. They're producing one of the country's most elegant and informative magazines, and it is all ad-free. Current Affairs is a fantastic complement to the work we do here at Majority Report. They deliver hard-hitting, totally independent, entertaining coverage of some of the most important political, social, and economic issues of our time. If you use the code Majority Report for 30% off, if you use the code Majority Report, you will get 30% off for a year on any subscription of your choice. Go to currentaffairs.org/subscribe. Enter the code Majority Report at checkout. Offer expires October 31st. Honestly, the thing I love about Current Affairs is that they are covering stuff that, yes, some of the major stuff that's in the news, but they're covering stuff that is sort of like, particularly in this era, will get lost in the shuffle. So definitely worth checking out Current Affairs magazine. Just head over there right now. You'll see what I'm talking about. But great stories. And Nathan Robinson, obviously one of the best out there. And 30% off for any subscription of your choice right now. Use the code Majority Report. And we'll put all that information in the podcast and YouTube descriptions. We're going to quick break. Be right back with Hannah Gaskill and Dan Belson, reporters from the Baltimore Sun. We are back. Sam Seder on the Majority Report. Emma Vigland out today. It's not showing up on my thing.
I removed that just so we wouldn't have a bandwidth issue.
Oh, I see. Okay. Sorry about that. We had a little bit of technical issues. I want to welcome to the program Hannah Gaskill and Dan Belson, reporters at the Baltimore Sun. Hannah, Dan, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having us, Dan.
Thanks for having us.
How long have you guys are union reps. What is the union that you represent, Hannah?
The Baltimore Sun Guild. We're a part of the Washington Baltimore News Guild.
And how many people are in that union?
So we've kind of gone down from maybe 40 plus down to around 20-ish. We're reporters and advertising support staff at the Baltimore Sun.
We're hemorrhaging employees at this point.
And Dan, how long have you guys been both been working for the Baltimore Sun?
So we both started back around 2022. I started at the Sun proper at 2023. So started in the Guild around that.
And Hannah, just tell us a little bit about the Baltimore Sun, like its long-term history, and then let's get more to the more sort of like, I guess, relevant short-term history that has led us to all convene today.
For sure. So we're a 187-year-old newspaper. We're the paper of record in Maryland. We have been passed through many hands over the almost 200-year history that we have. Most recently, in January 2024, David Smith, the chair of Sinclair Broadcasting, became the main owner of the Baltimore Sun. There's also a smaller owner named Armstrong Williams, who is a conservative talk show host.
I know Armstrong Williams from back in the day. Actually, he was on. He followed me on one of our radio stations back during the Air America days. We did not get along. I should also say, just off the top of my head, Armstrong Williams was also caught up in a scandal for. He was hired by a consulting firm, I think it was, or he was a consulting firm and was writing on behalf of that, ostensibly as he was working for the Bush administration or was getting paid by the Bush administration to promote stuff without telling people. Nevertheless, I'm sure he can correct the record on that. But okay, so Sinclair Media mogul buys the Baltimore Sun. Sinclair Media, maybe Dan, you can help me out here. Sinclair Media owns like 50. They're sort of in the news right now, aren't they? In terms of Jimmy Kimmel, in fact. Tell us a little bit about who Sinclair News is.
So Sinclair started here locally in the Baltimore area, and they've kind of gone around and purchased local TV stations across the country. So, I think as far as the Jimmy Kimmel news, Sinclair and Nexstar owns around 20% of the ABC stations, local ABC stations in the country. So Sinclair is more in the TV business. David Smith purchases us on a personal basis, but he is the chair and his family is heavily involved in Sinclair.
So this is sort of like a baby Murdoch, Rupert Murdoch type of situation. Murdoch famously owned both newspapers and Fox News, and now I think Lachlan does. And this is, largely what we're looking at. So what did he do when he came in, this new owner, when they came in, and this was a year or two ago, they've taken basically what, I don't know how you could find many examples of something that is more of a sort of like regional or municipal institution than the Baltimore Sun. I mean, to the extent that those words have any definition, that would be it. Hannah, what did the new owner do when he took over?
I think that some context here would help. So this is a person who does not live in Baltimore, who purchased a unionized paper in Baltimore, and has a tendency, or at least his broadcasting company has a tendency to, local officials have used the word fearmonger about crime, even though crime in Baltimore City has gone down to historic lows. So it's kind of repurposed the focus of what we write about.
Mm-hmm. Now, a lot of people are going to say that this is, this guy is just coming in, he's making business decisions. But as reported by Cody Bettler, is this in the actual Sun itself? I don't know. Circulation data is reported as a 12-month average. The most recent year was a 6-month average, and 2021 were reported on a 21-month average. The Sunday circulation has dropped dramatically from 2023 of 76,000 and a weekday circulation of nearly 30,000. It has dropped dramatically under the new leadership. This is from the Baltimore Banner. Sunday circulation was 42,000. That's a 44% decline. The average weekday circulation fell to 18,000, which is 37% lower. I'm not easily shocked anymore, but yeah, that's pretty amazing, said Rick Edmonds, a media business analyst with Pointer. This is a tough era for print newspapers, no doubt. It's also, Sun saw 41% fewer unique visitors to its website compared to 2023 in February of 2024. So this is a story of not like a slow, gradual decrease in circulation and readership. This is dramatic. Like, this is not business decision. This is just poor business, it seems. Dan, what's your sense of that?
It seems like Baltimore has reacted to what has happened to the newspaper over the past year, and the way management has reacted to that reaction is how they've kind of blamed it on the union and used it to leverage their kind of draconian contract proposals. Like, they want to silence us by putting in a non-disparagement clause in our union contract. They say that this is our fault. This is fully based on the union's contract actions.
Did either one of you go to journalism school?
Candidate.
In journalism school, did they teach you that one of the precepts of owning a journalistic outlet is that you don't want anybody to talk about it?
No, that's not anything that I learned there.
Okay, I didn't go to journalism, so I didn't know if they were teaching that now that the point of a newspaper is to silence any critique of enterprises. Okay, I was just curious. So far, the management has fired a bunch of union representatives. As far as I know, they've
to correct the record, only one unionized person has been fired.
Only one. Okay.
We've seen a lot of reassignment and transfers,
and a lot of flight outside to other publications.
Oh, interesting. Okay, so what are you guys now? What is the union doing? Are we near contract time? Is it? You guys are starting to take some actions, and why is that?
Well, so we've been at contract time since soon after David Smith bought us. Back in, I believe it was June last year, our previous contract expired, contract we've had for decades. So we started negotiating back then. And basically since then, many months have passed. And usually when the contract negotiations happen, you start with something, company starts with something, you meet somewhere in the middle. The management's idea has been more put something in front of us, non-disparagement agreement. If you don't agree to this, we're walking away. And so now we're at a point where they have decided because we won't sign everything they put in front of us, they're going to implement it anyway.
Yeah, on Sunday. So we're only allowed to talk for so much longer.
Oh, really? On Sunday, how do they impose upon you a non-disparagement agreement if you haven't agreed to it?
It's pretty illegal, we're pretty sure.
So yeah, they're claiming that we've reached a bargaining impasse because we have not agreed to every single one of their terms. We don't believe we're at an impasse. We're still in active bargaining. They have refused to move on pretty much anything.
We put in requests to bargain since they declared that they were not bargaining with us anymore since they gave us their last, best, and final proposal, and they just refused to meet us at the table.
And so what are you guys now doing as a union to push back? I mean, I imagine you're talking to lawyers about what could happen over the course of the next couple of days before you're supposedly silenced by a newspaper. And I'm reading too that you guys are planning a byline strike.
We did a byline strike on election week, which is the most painful week for a newspaper to have a byline strike.
And we retain our byline rights. So, should we go that route, we've scrambled this past week, seeing what we can do. And one of those options could be a byline strike. We will be, speaking up while we still can,
Yeah, I think a lot of our plan right now, obviously, is to talk to legal through WBNG, but to make our voices heard on programs like yours with other outlets while we can, so that people understand what we're going through. And we're not the only people affected by Mr. Smith's endeavors. There's a whole campaign in Baltimore County called Don't Feed the Fox because he owns Fox 45. So the public is joining it at this point.
And just for clarification, a byline strike is essentially you won't put your names on the pieces, and they'll all and of course, that is it's something that makes people notice. You're still performing a function for people, but it makes them stand up and notice that, there's actually people generating this, and it makes a difference when you don't know who has written something. What can our viewers, if our viewers are readers of the Baltimore Sun, if they're in that Baltimore area, I mean, what can folks do to support you?
So we're getting active on social media again. You can follow us at Baltimore Sun Guild on Blue Sky and X. We also have a letter drive, which sends an email to Mr. Smith, Mr. Williams, and our publisher, and they do tend to sometimes respond. So that is available at bit.ly/S support the Sun. Both S's capitalized there.
You could also get a frustrated email from management.
David Smith is a great emailer.
Fantastic. Maybe we'll do that.
Looking forward to that.
We're going to put links in the podcast and YouTube description of all those that people can get involved. Anything else that you want to say while it is not actionable for the next couple of days?
Look, silencing workers, silencing union journalists, that's silencing the truth. All we want is to get the truth out. And when management has a problem with that, that's concerning. This is more than a contract for raises, et cetera. This is about local democracy. And we're fighting for good journalism.
Support your local journalists. Also, subscribe to your local newspaper. I know it's expensive. I know everybody's feeling the pinch, but it really does help.
Hannah Gaskill, Dan Belson, thanks so much for your time today, guys. Good luck. I know it's going to be a tough fight, so hang in there and keep us updated.
Thank you. Thank you.
And hi, Justin. Sorry. Bye.
All right. We're going to take a quick break. We'll come back. We got more news. We'll just be back in Well, we don't need to take a break, do we?
Not unless you need one.
You kidding?
Sam's a machine.
Oh, I'll just keep going. I won't stop at all.
We won't rest. We won't rest.
All right, hold on. We'll get there. We'll get there. Let's just start with this. This is pretty stunning. And it is, I mean, look, the Donald Trump said he was going to end the Ukraine-Russia conflict within 24 hours. We are very bad at math here, but
time's gone pretty quick lately.
I am 100% sure it's been more than 24 hours.
How many hours are in 10 months?
That's what you have a calculator for, Brian. You're supposed to be telling me.
Sorry,
that.
I'm that guy.
You're supposed to be you're supposed to be holding up a sign with that number when I introduced that idea. Just to give you a sense of how utterly vacuous Donald Trump's positions are, and how utterly vacuous the idea that he was an anti-war candidate was. And frankly, to some extent, this is good news, although I'm not sure it is geared towards bringing an end to this war, but it, at least for the time being, makes it look like Ukraine will get support. Here is Donald Trump's post on Truth Social that announced it. Do we have it? This is number 4. It is a full 180-degree turnaround. After getting to know and fully understand the Ukraine-Russia military and economic situation, and after seeing the economic trouble it is causing Russia, I think Ukraine, with the support of the European Union, is in a position to fight and win all of Ukraine back in its original form. It is shocking that it has taken him 8 months to get this information. It's shocking. It's completely unbelievable. It's a lie, of course. But see if you can see the hints in this as to what this is really about. Because he's given you a couple of hints. In the first sentence, he gives you hints, and they're capitalized, the hints. Remember, so much of what we hear from conservatives, Republicans, and Donald Trump is projection. So he has fully understood the Ukraine-Russia military, was a different militaries, incidentally, and economic situation. And after seeing the economic trouble it is causing Russia, I think Ukraine, with the support of the European Union, is in a position to fight and win all of Ukraine back in its original form. With time, patience, and the financial support of Europe, and in particular NATO, the original borders from where this war started is very much an option. Why not? Now, wait a second. It's unclear which war he's referring to. Does this mean Crimea? Does this mean those areas of the Donetsk? It's unclear. Why not? Russia has been fighting aimlessly for 3.5-year war that should have taken a real military power less than a week to win. This is not distinguishing Russia. This is definitely him writing. There's just no...
He wrote all this. Compared to the Kimmel tweet, It's exactly the same.
In fact, it is very much making them look like a paper tiger. When the people living in Moscow of all the great cities, towns, and districts throughout Russia find out what's really going on with this war, the fact that it's almost impossible for them to get gasoline through the long lines, okay, and all of the other things that are taking place in their war economy, where most of their money is being spent on fighting Ukraine, which has great spirit and only getting better. Ukraine would be able to take back their country in its original form, and who knows, maybe even go further than that. Putin and Russia are in big economic trouble.
Money, economy, money, economy.
This is the time for Ukraine to act. In any event, I wish both countries well, and we will continue to supply weapons to NATO, for NATO is do what they
do
want.
what they want with them.
To
do whatever.
what they want. Good luck
Who
to all.
cares? Just give us some money.
Okay. So, why has Trump had this turnaround? Well, who do they send out to talk about this turnaround? Is it Pete Hegseth?
Department of War?
Is it Marco Rubio, the Secretary of State? No. It's the Secretary of Treasury, and they send him to Fox Business News. That's weird.
But now Putin has started making incursions, into the NATO borders.
Exactly.
So the one thing I can tell you.
Oh, pause it for a second. I'm sorry. Is this clip a month old?
Nope, it's from, I believe, this morning.
Oh, that's weird because Putin made those incursions. I assume they're talking about the drone attack on Poland or the drones that were shut down in Poland, which Trump at the time said, we're not.
It was nothing.
It was a mistake.
What's that about?
It's just crossed the border.
Borders are invisible. You can make
Has
a
it
mistake.
taken them a month to figure this out? It's interesting. I'm trying to think of what's different between a month ago and now in their minds.
There was a recent thing at the Copenhagen airport that they're blaming on Russian drones, possibly too. So maybe it's a little bit. I don't know about Poland. I know where Copenhagen is.
Okay, let's just go back. I mean, again, Fox Business channel, and this is the Secretary of the Treasury.
But now Putin has started making incursions, into the NATO borders.
Exactly.
So the one thing I can tell you is the U.S. is not going to get involved with troops or any of that. We will sell the Europeans weapons, and then the Europeans can pass them on to Ukraine. President Trump wants this war to end. He said several times yesterday he thought it would be the easiest one to end. President Putin has made it clear that he just keeps escalating, and it's a race between the Ukraine military, the Russian economy, and we want our European allies to step up and focus on the sources of the revenues for the Russian economy, and it's oil. And Maria, just to be clear, this goes back to the original sin from President Trump's first term, where he told them, do not create Nord Stream 2.
Yeah.
And it was that reliance on Russian energy that got us here.
Well, look, we had.
Wait, what? Wait, no, I thought it was Biden. Hold on, Scott. Wait a second. You told me we could make this economy that is in the crapper as we are funneling down a hole where we're going to have stagflation. You said selling weapons would make us money, but what's this whole blame it on? No, it was Biden's war.
And Obama.
This would have never happened but for Biden, remember?
Here's a Politico article from October 2023 titled, "The White House is losing the messaging war on Ukraine. Now it's changing the message. The presidency is privately urging lawmakers to focus on the jobs that can be created by the money spent on the war." So the more things change, the more they stay the same.
Yeah, there you go. This is all about, there's Scott Bessant basically just telling Fox Business, time to reinvest in, Northrop Grumman or Boeing or Raytheon or whoever it is.
Yeah, how do we make money in this country? Weapons of war.
A banana republic who sells exploding bananas.
Yep. So there is, and it does sound like there must have been a meeting at the UN where we'll buy all the weapons. We'll buy them. We have the money.
He loves deals.
Yep.
I mean, the entire European Union, especially Germany, has been saying, all that austerity and stuff that we've been doing for the last 15 years, well, we need to start deficit spending, and not for climate, but for guns and bombs and stuff.
There you go. And don't get me wrong, I am glad that we are nominally supportive of Ukraine. I suspect that this is the most lucrative way in which we could do this.
Yeah, and I don't think it'll rebound to the Ukrainians' favor, unfortunately.
We got another minute here. So, as it stands now, the Senate, we are barreling towards a government shutdown. Chuck Schumer has been desperate to provide the Senate any possible cover in which it would allow Chuck Schumer to vote to keep the government open. And Schumer tried to go around Thune in the Senate and go directly to Trump. And the amazing thing, what we're watching is we're watching Senate and House Republicans so confident that Chuck Schumer is going to cave for nothing, that the only thing they wanted to make sure was that Trump didn't in any way agree to do anything with Chuck Schumer. Because Schumer was just looking for a fig leaf. And they're basically saying, we're not even going to give you a fig leaf. You're going to take this. And here is Chuck Schumer. Let's just do this one. Is this what he posted to? This
he
is
posted
number
this to
8.
his ex account.
And now he's mad that Trump won't come out. I don't know what he anticipates happening with this. What I do find amusing is that as desperate as he's trying to maintain a youthful look by pushing those glasses up, he can't help but I need to put him back down. Now he has just a bigger set of glasses down at the edge of his. He went from this lasted for a day, and now it's back down here. So let's go.
As soon as he's off camera, he's like, get him off, get him off.
Get him up. Here we go.
We know Donald Trump watches a lot of television. Mr. President, if you're watching television, shut it off and come sit down and negotiate with us.
Do we know what channel this was on? Was it on MSNBC?
I couldn't find.
It looks like C-SPAN, based on the Cairo.
We know that Mr. Trump watches a lot of C-SPAN. I don't think so. But who does he think this is for? Who does he think this is for? And I mean, what we are watching is Chuck Schumer is on a tour right now. Politico has a story that he is completely toxic with Senate candidates, not blue state candidates. Iowa. Hell no, Nathan Sage, one of the handful of Iowa Democrats vying to replace retiring Senator Joni Ernst, told Politico when asked if he'd back Schumer for leader. In Maine, 4 of the Democrats running to unseat the GOP's most vulnerable senator have already pledged not to support Schumer as leader.
I think the second thing Graham Plattner said.
Like Mills hasn't jumped into the race yet. She's going to be the only one because he's pushing her in there. In Illinois, I'll remind you, Dick Durbin, Chuck Schumer's best buddy, the Senate whip, is the retiring senator from Illinois. 3 leading Democrats vying to succeed Schumer's retiring number 2 say they're keeping their options open. They desperately want Dick Durbin's support. And as much as they desperately want Dick Durbin's support, they still won't say they support Chuck Schumer. They're saying,
I would do anything for love, but I won't do that.
Is there any? We'll punt this question.
What kind of bull is this?
Yes. And Schumer's spokesperson, Alex Nyan, said the leader's North Star is winning the majority in 2026. What is Chuck Schumer's plan to win 2026? It is essentially to not exist as a political party. It is to do absolutely nothing that could in any way take a position on anything and hope that Donald Trump is so hated that somehow this bleeds down to Republicans. And it may work. It also sets up a recipe for absolutely, this just to keep recycling. Let's hope Donald Trump is really bad. Here is Chuck Schumer on
Morning Joe.
Morning Joe, which of course is where you would go if you were trying to reach the public or conservatives or the president. No, this is where you go if you are trying to convince Democratic power brokers that you should still be in charge. And he's sitting there right now. Look, put him up there. He's sitting there. He's going like, I can do this. I can do this. I can do this. What's that? I can do it. You can play a little more. You can see he's like concentrating. Just go forward just a little. This is a different clip? Oh, this is the clip. He's right here. He's like, I can do this. I can do this. I'm going to make it. I'm going to make it. Chuck, you're doing good. Chuck, you're doing good. Chuck, you're doing good. That's what he's telling himself now because he's so nervous. He is so on the hot seat from all, but I'm going to get out there. Chuck, you're doing good. Chuck, you're doing good.
Leaders on the Hill want that meeting to take place, though?
That's a good Chuck.
There's some reports that right now they don't.
Chuck. He's so... I'm Chuck. Chuck is doing good. Chuck is doing good. That's a good Chuck. Oh, that's a good Chuck. That's a good Chuck.
Chucked it up.
Me watching Russell Wilson in the red zone. That's a good Chuck.
I'm a Chuck. Here is Chuck Schumer's plan. Okay, this is his response. Okay, we're doing miserably, but fortunately, someone else is more miserable.
And one more point on all those polls. Even though Democrats' numbers are low, when you ask people, who do you prefer, a Democratic senator or a Republican senator? We did it in the 6 battleground states, which were +2, +3 overall. So it's not a Democratic or independent survey. 47-39, they prefer Democrats. And in a couple of the races where we have the 2 candidates, we win. So.
Okay. He's, first off, like this generic thing, like it's bad as Democrats are performing, the Republicans in these races are performing worse. You are basically saying we are just a floating piece of driftwood on the river. And it's so far, it looks like the river's going in the right direction. This is like fundamentally, definitionally not leadership. There is no plan. There is nothing. It is, we're going to drift into victory. And that may be the case. Maybe nothing changes. Maybe absolutely nothing changes the trajectory of that river. But we don't know that. And when you have absolutely no reason to vote for the Democrats, except for they are not Republicans, there is no positive message. There is no, Donald Trump's personal net worth has doubled in 8 months. We don't hear any, all we hear is Epstein, which is fine. That's good. But maybe the idea of Donald Trump's personal net worth has doubled. Has yours? Donald Trump's personal net worth has doubled. He's gotten rich, but you're getting poorer. We don't hear anything like this. We don't see anything of him saying what the FCC is doing is bad. And when we become, we're going to do X because of it. But because you're not going to say that we're going to do X, because you're not willing to say that we're going to do anything, we're just going to lay low and hope no one knows that we're here. You don't have reason to talk about anything. It's all just, that's wrong. What's the right answer? Well, who knows? But we're not going to say because maybe somebody will be upset about it.
Succeed passively.
It is, and it is a strategy, and it could work, but God forbid there's some type of terrorist attack. It happens. God forbid there's some type of major crisis. God forbid there's anything that could change the flow of this river that you're now just gliding down, and you have ceded any ability to create a narrative. You can't start it 3 weeks out from an election. You can't start it 4 months out from an election. You need to start now. And they have decided we are completely abdicating. We're not going to do any of that. We're not even going to shut down the government unless like they make it absolutely impossible. You know, Chuck Schumer's so desperate to just have anything that he can come back. This is after Nancy Pelosi last time saying, like, I've never done a deal where you give something for nothing, which is exactly what Chuck Schumer did. He wants to give something so desperately, but they're not giving him anything. They want to break him. And we'll see. He may just cave anyways. It's amazing. All right. We're going to take a quick break, head into the fun half. Just a reminder, it's your support that makes this show possible. When you become a member of the Majority Report, you not only get the free show free of commercials, you get the fun half, but most importantly, you help us remain independent, to survive and to thrive. You know, the idea that one day Google just says, you know what, we're changing our algorithm is they haven't done it yet, as far as I can tell. But the idea that they would do this or not do this, we saw this with Facebook and Instagram.
Yep.
They decided we're going to downplay any type of politics. So that killed us on Facebook and Instagram. You see TikTok is now already like purging and banning and blocking and, de-algorithming anything that is considered pro-Palestine or critical of Israel. None of that has hurt us in terms of revenue, but the thing that keeps us from that type of situation is our members supporting us. So it means a lot. Appreciate our members who have done so. And also justcoffee.coop. It is fair trade coffee, hot chocolate. Use the coupon code majority, get 10% off. They're a co-op. You can buy the Majority Report blend. Longtime advertiser and supporter of the program. Really appreciate them as well. Matt, Left Reckoning.
Yeah, last night, Devin Thomas O'Shea, we did a sort of literary hangover episode where we talked about the Thomas Pynchon novel Vineland, which is the source material for a new Paul Thomas Anderson movie called One Battle After Another, I believe is the title of that's coming out this weekend. And we get into this sort of depiction of Reaganite reaction and budget cuts and COINTELPRO and very... good novel to read in our current era, so I highly recommend it. Check it out, patreon.com/leftreckoning. Post-game, we also talked about Kamala Harris on Maddow saying she wishes the titans of industry would have stood up to save democracy. So check that out.
Oh, did that not happen?
The oligarchs didn't save democracy.
Weird. So weird. It's almost as if they're interested in their own accumulation of money. Okay, quick break, fun half. 3 months from now, 6 months from now, 9 months from now, and I don't think it's going to be the same as it looks like in 6 months from now, and I don't know if it's necessarily going to be better 6 months from now than it is 3 months from now, but I think around 18 months out, we're going to look back and go like, wow. What? What is that going on? It's nuts. Wait a second. Hold on for a second.
The Majority Report.
Emma, welcome to the program.
Hey.
Matt.
What is up, everyone?
Nomi Key.
You did it. Let's go, Brandon.
Let's go, Brandon.
Bradley, you want to say hello?
Sorry to disappoint everyone. I'm just a random guy.
It's all the boys today.
Fundamentally false.
No, I'm sorry. Women's
talking for a second and let me finish.
Where is this coming from, dude?
But dude, you want to smoke this 7A?
Yes.
Hi, me? This me?
Yes.
Is this me?
Is it me?
It is you.
Is this me? Hello, is this me?
I think it is you. Who is you? No sound. Every single frickin' day. What's on your mind?
Sports. We can discuss free markets and we can discuss capitalism.
I'm gonna go throw up.
Who libertarians? They're so stupid though. Common sense says, of course.
Gobbledygook.
We fucking nailed him.
So what's 79 plus 21?
Challenge met.
I'm positively quivering.
I believe 96, I want to say.
857-210-3501. 1 half. 3 8s.
9/11, for instance.
$3,400, $1,900.
6, 5, 4, $3 trillion sold. It's a zero-sum game.
Actually, you're making me think less of it.
But let me say this. Poop.
You can call it satire. Sam goes with satire.
On top of it all, my favorite part about you is just like every day, all day, like everything you do.
Without a doubt. Hey, buddy, we see you. All right, folks.
It's just the week being weeded out, obviously.
Yeah, sun's out, guns out. I don't know.
But you should know.
People just don't like to entertain ideas anymore.
I have a question. Who cares?
Our chat is enabled, folks.
I love it.
I do love that.
Look, gotta jump. Gotta be quick. I gotta jump.
I'm losing it, bro.
2 o'clock. We're already late, and the guy's being a dick. So screw him. Sent to a gulag?
Outrageous.
Like, what is wrong with you?
Love you, bye.
Love you. Bye-bye. We are back. Sam Seder. Fun half of the Majority Report. Emma Vigeland out today.
That's a good Sam.
What's that?
The Chuck Schumer on you. That's a good Sam.
That's good, Sam. Emma is out today.
Welcome to the Sam Report.
I'm Sam. Sam's good. Okay.
These glasses are so tight on my face, I can't think.
Exactly. Oh, jeez. Folks, we're going to take calls. 646-257-3920, 646-257-3920. First, let's start off the fun half with something that's going to make your stomach turn. You'll recall that when Elon Musk left the administration, he left with Stephen Miller's wife in tow. She continued to work for him for a while until it became somewhat scandalous. And there seems to be a lot of backfilling going on. I mean, this is, I don't know. I find this disturbing, a disturbing exchange in the wake of Charlie Kirk being shot.
Tasteless.
I think it's really tasteless. We know, and I don't know if it's supposed to be some type of like dig. I don't know. I don't know if there was any type of rivalry between Stephen Miller's, wife. What's her name?
Erica. Oh
no, Katie Miller and Eric. I don't know. I have no idea.
She hasn't been on her pod. That's just one observation I have.
It's weird. But here is Jesse Waters with Katie Miller, who apparently has now moved back to D.C. with her husband, ostensibly. But this seems coded to me.
You are married to Stephen Miller, so you are the envy of all women. What is that like?
A sexual matador, right?
What is it like being married to such a sexual matador?
He is an incredibly inspiring man who gets me going in the morning with his speeches being like, let's start the day. I am going to defeat the left and we are going to win. He wakes up the day ready to carry out the mission that President Trump was elected to do.
I think
this is a very weird exchange, isn't it? First off, is Jesse Waters mocking her in some way? Like, you're the envy of all women? Like, it's unclear. But to describe, maybe I just I'm not familiar with bullfights, but what does the matador do?
As far as I know, the
Goes
matador
straight after bull.
wears a lot of sequins and waves a red kerchief around and tries to avoid the bull as much as possible.
So are they saying that like Stephen Miller avoids like physical contact with his wife?
That's what a matador does.
And, I took it down, but let's play it again because she has that ready to go. Like, it's like they were talking about this before the camera started rolling, and she already made this joke before.
You are married to Stephen Miller, so you are the envy of all women. What is that like?
The sexual matador, right?
What is it like being
That
married to
seems
such-
like she's been talking about that. Like, they've been talking about Stephen Miller.
Almost like they're making fun of him
Yeah.
behind his back.
Well, like I suppose the conversation could have gone like, how's things? Stephen just completely avoids any physical contact with me.
It's like
It's like a matador.
Because wouldn't a sexual bull actually be like the thing you'd want to be described as?
I mean, that is actually like the term, right?
I
And
think
like
so.
like the bull looking
Yeah,
for
bull,
like
yeah.
but he's the matador, the one who avoids.
Can't touch me.
Can't touch me. I'm moving out of the way. I'm moving out of the way.
We got to defeat the left.
Shiny object over here. Defeat the left.
Got to wake up the morning.
It's weird. It's weird. It feels like they're trying to send a message. Yeah. Let's play it one more time and just to see the top of it, because I
wouldn't want my wife talking to another man like this about me.
No, it's
national news.
I know, it's very disrespectful. I'm just shocked.
You are married to Stephen Miller, so you are the envy of all women. What is that like?
The sexual matador, right?
What is it like being married to such a sexual matador?
He is an incredibly inspiring man who gets me going in the morning with his speeches being like, let's start the day. I am going to defeat
It
the
does
left,
sound like
and we
she's
are going to
saying
win."
that, no, I like him because he's so virulently like fascistic, but nothing else is going on.
There's no time to kiss. I have to destroy the left.
Exactly. Wow. That is really, no, it's weird. I just think it's weird. That's all. And really inappropriate at this time.
Yeah.
Have some decorum.
Considering the news.
Just everything. It's just not appropriate.
Some decorum, for God's sake.
Honestly. Calling from a 463 area code. Who's this? Where are you calling from? Do we have it? 463. Hold on, let's see. We'll get back to you. Just bear with us 1 second.
I didn't actually hear you call in.
Oh, I did though. You did hear me call in.
And the focus rate's working.
Let's go. Is there any videos here that I can play? Well, I can try hang up. Yep, the sound is there. Now I can't call back in. Let's see.
Sam's a real phone call matador.
There we go. We're back in. All right. Calling from an 802 area code. Who's this? Where are you calling from?
This is Peter from Vermont.
Peter from Vermont. What is on your mind?
Although I am from Hull, Mass, so this is like calling in like to Ticketmaster when I was a kid.
Oh, and you're
Anyway.
trying to get a Ticketmaster, like you just keep hitting the redial.
Oh my God. Anyway, I've been trying to call in on.
I'm sorry, dude. We're sold out. Go ahead.
I wanted the chili peppers. You guys were talking a lot about the Ezra Klein word salad situation, and I don't like to totally rest on takes, like a good take or whatever, but you guys have good takes sometimes, and one that I wanted to ask you about was you had Giannis Varoufakis on, and he said something like, I'm trying to remember, it was like the Mag 7 only pays 1% of revenue to payroll, as opposed to the 80% that the GMs paid back in their day. I mean, that's such a great thing to tell somebody. Is that true?
I don't know to what extent. I don't have those numbers. But I have no doubt that the amount of labor costs have diminished dramatically as a percentage. That labor costs have diminished. First of all, we know this because worker productivity has increased dramatically over the past even just 50 years. And we also know that if you look at where wages would be if it had kept up with productivity, wages would be much, much higher. So yeah. I don't know if that specific dynamic, but there is no doubt in my mind that the share of expenses that were wages was much higher back in the day, just because the relationship between worker productivity and pay that gap has widened. You follow me?
Well, it works well when you talk about marginal tax rates, because I guess the question is what are the rich people doing with their money? And when you have messaging on the other side, which is just like, we are going to cut taxes and you will have more money, that message is very clear and simple. So when Bernie was on Rogan, and Rogan clearly didn't understand marginal tax rates, it was like, oh my God, if he had just went one step further and explained what, and maybe this is something you could do too, is just what happens when you start taxing the wealthy at that rate? Are they forced to then, build a bridge in the town because they don't want to pay taxes? They're going to start actually
Well, I can tell you what the most likely behavior is that they reinvest in the company, right? And they reinvest because if you can't take more profits now, all right, this is a little bit simplistic, but if you can't take all that money now, in 1 year, because you're going to get taxed over, what you would rather do is reinvest it into the enterprise, spread out that revenue through whatever, the next 5, 10, 20, 30 years. I mean, that's you can see this, the analogy that I would give is you can see this with financial advice. I just have seen this on Instagram, so that's why I know. But they will tell people to defer your IRA or your Roth IRA, whatever it is, to when your tax rates are lower. So put that off down the road. And that's what investing into your own enterprise would be. They would plow it back into there. Because, it's all right, can you surgically cut back on the amount of effort that you're going to put into something to match, after my first $3 million, I'm only getting $100,000 for every $900,000 I make after that? I mean, no. And so, I mean, that's the dynamic. But really, the easy way to do it is just wealth inequality. If you're talking about from a strictly rhetorical standpoint, wealth inequality is highly problematic for society. One, we're seeing it in the context of just the economic indicators, because the economic indicators would have you believe largely that the economy is fine. But that's because 20% of society has so much money that they can maintain those economic indicators without 80% of the people participating.
Mm-hmm.
And it also ends up driving inflation in certain areas, particularly in the context of housing, because all of a sudden it's like, you've got all this money. Where am I going to put it? Constantly looking for investment vehicles, right? Yeah. I mean, you have $100 million extra. Like you can only live in so many houses. There's only so many days in the week, right? And so you're constantly looking for investment vehicles. And that's why we keep getting like bubbles after bubbles after bubbles, because people are looking for stuff to plow money into that's going to, so it could be AI, it could have been the web, it could be real estate. It creates bubbles because you have so much, you have a limited number of people with so much extra money. They don't know what to do with it. They literally don't know what to do with it. And so they have to keep looking for investment opportunities. They feel like a sucker having it sit in the bank. And so they have to keep finding asset classes that will increase in value. And as soon as a couple people agree, this is an asset value that's going to increase in value. This is what crypto is.
Yeah.
You've got rich people looking for an investment. They go in and literally create the value of this thing. And then it just becomes, ultimately a Ponzi scheme. Now we have the U.S. backing it. So it's a little bit more secure theoretically, or it's going to take down swaths of our economy. Depends on your perspective. But that's what they're doing. That's what happens with wealth inequality.
So, but like, isn't Ezra's argument essentially like we have to get these wealthy people to start building things?
Well,
somehow,
here's the thing:
get them interested into doing things.
Ezra's argument is on that level is completely incoherent. Right. The only place where Ezra has an argument that is sustainable is that he thinks there are regulations that inhibit building. And the thing is, nobody really disagrees with the basic premise that there could be some regulations that are less productive than others. Like, everybody believes that you've got to make a trade-off. He thinks that the trade-offs are being skewed because there's too much power by people who are not builders. And okay, then that becomes sort of like a, what do you want democracy to look like type of situation. He argues that these groups, sometimes they will name them, sometimes they won't. Sometimes it'll just be a bank shot. Like whoever it is that's imposing this requirement on public housing that if it's near a highway, there needs to be filters to keep kids from getting asthma. Is that really worth it? I don't know. Well, I don't know who's imposing that. It's certainly not the builders. But once you get past there, he has these sort of like vague notions that these groups are inhibiting state capacity. And then once you start to get to this level of the argument, this is why in my conversation with him, every time I got to this point, he would go back to something sort of micro in his argument about California building regulations. Because once you get to that sort of like higher level of conversation, what is inhibiting state capacity? The idea that wealthy corporations and wealthy individuals are not the ones to be inhibiting state capacity is completely absurd. To the extent that there are groups out there, I'm sure in certain situations, probably closer to a community level, they wield more power than not. But there's never a time where they rival sheer money. It's very, very, very rare. And he sort of elides that entire conversation. And on top, it also, like, I mentioned the other day, this law research paper by Sam Bagenstos at the University of Michigan, showing that the reason why, as a political matter, the benefits that the Biden administration provided during COVID were not as sticky and embraced by people in a way that political scientists always sort of felt like they would be, is because the moneyed interests waged a massive campaign to make all that stuff look bad. And that's indicative of what we're talking about.
Yeah.
But I have an article here to mention, caller. You say that what you mentioned, we're kind of waiting on the people with all of the money to do something with it. This is from Forbes just a couple of days ago. Private equity's inflection point, how Wall Street's dry powder can power Main Street's revival. And let's read the second paragraph here. It talks about the tightening financial realities, but then says, this hits Main Street's entrepreneurs and small businesses the hardest as they remain starved for accessible capital to realize their ambitions. Meanwhile, according to PitchBook, a record $2.5 trillion in global private equity dry powder remains on the sidelines, signaling a striking paradox in capital supply versus utilization. Dry powder is the term for what Sam was talking about, with all of this money that rich people are sitting on that should have been collected through taxes, through higher tax rates. Rich people don't know what to do with it. They're running out of investments. There's only so many apartment complexes you can buy, so only so many places you can sink that.
That's why they do private equity going into every single business you can imagine.
Exactly.
There was a paper by Harvard. ERs that were bought by private equity have their death rates go up because they're looking for
Where are the Peggy Guggenheims? Where are the Peggy Guggenheims? Like, I don't know. Like, shouldn't they just be like, we're the Medici?
Dude, the notion of like a benevolent aristocracy. That is, you got to get that out of your head. But I appreciate the call.
No, I'm not. I'm joking.
No, I know you're joking, but I think a lot of people have that still.
Yeah, you need Soviets.
No, I do. I agree. Anyway, thank you so much.
Appreciate the call.
Yeah, you need a red threat in order for those people to start behave themselves, and that's not on the horizon right now.
And I want to make this clear too. Like, taxation is only one tool to compress wealth inequality. Antitrust, regulation, understand, broadly speaking, and we were, banging this drum in the wake, in the run-up to the election and following Trump's election, in the run-up to the inauguration, when we knew Project 2025 was in there. Regulations, primarily, not every regulation, but nearly every regulation that the federal government imposes in some way, the genesis and the idea behind it is in some way to constrict corporate power and profit-making ability. Not every single one, but broadly speaking, which is why they come in with a broad agenda of cutting regulation. Whether it's like protecting, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau saying, banks can't charge these fees, or whether it's regulating power companies, or whether it's saying like you can't dump your toxic waste into rivers, or whether it says like, hey, you need to have better practices in your meat processing plant so that feces don't get mixed up with the meat, whatever it is. And they're not even necessarily specifically to curb corporate power. They could be to protect the consumer, protect somebody's health. But that's the effect that they have. So when you roll back regulations, you're going to increase wealth inequality. When you roll back antitrust, you're going to increase wealth inequality. When you cut taxes, you're going to increase wealth inequality. When you allow mergers, willy-nilly, you're going to increase wealth inequality. I mean, almost definitionally, unless it's an incredibly corrupt enterprise, definitionally, a democratic government will inhibit corporate wealth accumulation and individual wealth accumulation. Like, definitionally. right? Because you're supposed to give as much benefit as to as much people as possible. That's theoretically the idea of democracy. That as many stakeholders as possible get to influence the functioning of society. That's what democracy means. Marin V. Cedar. Hey, Sam, can you do an all call-in show soon? Yeah, soon. Calling from a 201 area code. Who's this? Where are you calling from?
Hello, is it me?
Yeah.
My name is David from Chicago.
David from Chicago. What's on your mind?
So I thought of this question like 2 months ago, but so now it's changed. But I guess generally I just have like friends who are a bit of Zionists. Let's be real.
Okay. Let's be real about them.
Let's be real. I mean, I'm Arab, I'm Egyptian, but I'm Christian, right? My family's Christian. I'm not that religious.
Okay.
Anyways, I grew up a lot around other Christians who are Arab, but somehow they just feel like this is like a Muslim problem as opposed to like an Arab problem, even though, how many Christian Arabs have died?
Or Christian Palestinians.
Yeah, Christian Palestinians. Yeah, of course. Christian Palestinians, Christian Lebanese people. Like, it's not even like, so it's just silly and it's intellectually lazy. But yeah, I don't know how to is it terminal? Like, is it like cancer? Once it gets a hold of you, it's like, how do you combat that?
How do you combat
that type of thinking in somebody? Like, or do they have to just be willing to do the research on their own and like self-reflect?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I know some Zionists, and some are in my family. Not my immediate family, but and I've had these conversations, and it is a lot of that is born out of like sort of like a generational trauma stuff, and sort of like an inability to be rational about on any level. I don't know in the context of like, I could guess. But I have no sense of like what makes an Arab Christian not feel any type of solidarity with an Arab Muslim in Palestine, or for that matter, even Christian Palestinians. I don't know. I don't know what would account for that. I mean, I think look, there are dynamics like where you see second generation immigrant families like becoming diehard Trump fans because they want to feel more like they belong, and they don't want to sort of heighten they don't want to be associated with the out group.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Too, and I think it's also like people like I actually grew up in Egypt, so I have like a firsthand experience of living around Muslims and being friends, and things are fine. But like it's actually people who like are Egyptian but that haven't really grown up in Egypt and were born here, who end up getting this kind of
well, I don't know
they hear some stories about like terror extremism, which is true. Like Christians are a minority in Egypt, and occasionally there are terrorist attacks, but not by the Muslims, by these very radical groups, right? And that's the kind of like
I mean, if you don't have any of that firsthand experience, you're going to grow up you're going to get the same messages that we get from society in general. They're not necessarily immune to them. So that tracks. I appreciate the call.
Thank you.
Zane says, get the caller, have them look at the Israeli Telegram and Israeli media. If they can stomach that content, then cut them loose. B. Dan from San Diego. Sorry to say, if they have a conscience, they would have lost their Zionism at least 2 years ago. Former libertarian, when Warren was on Pod Save America backing Schumer's strategy on the shutdown and pretending it's a real fight, what do we do with these people? I mean, look, Schumer, I do think that there is value in you want to make the Republicans own the shutdown. And the way to do that would be to say, we're open to negotiation. The problem is that when Schumer says we're open to negotiation, he's saying, I'm willing to give away the farm. And the idea is you shouldn't be willing to give away the farm. If I'm Warren and I'm seeing Schumer say, I'm open to negotiation, I want to promote that message that it's a Republican shutdown. But then I'm working a different game on terms of like what he's willing to negotiate away. So like, I don't think Schumer should be out there going, we're going to shut the government down. He should be out there saying Republicans are going to shut the government down. We've tried, but they won't listen, which is slightly different than what he's saying. But we also have his last go-around strategy to base upon what he's actually doing right now. And if he was actually doing what he sort of half-assedly is doing, he would be out there demonizing them more. But he doesn't want to in any way make it seem like he's doing anything because he is convinced that is the wrong strategy. Calling from a 502 area code. Who's this? Where are you calling from?
Hi, is this me?
It is you. Who is this and where are you calling from?
Hi, I'm calling from the Bay Area, but I'd like to remain anonymous if possible.
So how about your name is Bill?
Yes, I can go by Bill. I'm a little nervous, by the way.
Oh, then go by Chuck. That makes it will fit a little more.
Okay. Yeah.
Chuck's doing
I was
good.
just calling about a news story. The shooting that happened at the CDC. It didn't really get that much coverage. I felt like I heard one headline about it on Democracy Now!, but didn't hear too much else about it.
A police officer died in that.
Yes. And over 500 rounds were shot at the CDC building, and it broke over 180 windows, or 180 bullets hit the actual building.
Yep.
And it's just so shocking, like, in light of everything that happened with Charlie Kirk, about, this was somebody clearly motivated by, like, anti-vaccine views and committed an act of domestic terrorism on a federal building, and just the complete lack of response from the federal government was truly shocking.
Never mind just the federal government. As a political class, look, the Democrats are so terrified of being associated with the CDC or COVID-19. I mean, it's insane what's going on now. But they're so terrified of being associated with it, they're not going to say anything. That's what that is. That's why it didn't get that much news coverage, because all the news outfits covered it, and then they're like, oh, yeah, I guess it's not going to be a political issue.
Just the details that come out, like, about the whole thing too, just continue to gross me out. Like, there's a daycare at the CDC building that was just below the shooter's firing line, which has like 80 plus kids that go there every day. RFK didn't even reach out to then director Susan Menares, like, for 3 days after it happened. And just the whole thing is so disgusting. And I mean, when you consider, like, the last major act of terrorism on a federal building being the Unabomber, and how, like, you know, well documented that whole fiasco was. It just makes this so shocking that this was all just swept under the rug. Sorry, my cat's attacking me as well. But yeah, it's just so insane. Like how the right can say the left is doing acts of violence.
And this CDC thing not brought up at all in those contexts. Not at all. None.
It was brought up. I listened to the whole hearing with Dr. Menarez, and it was discussed for like maybe 5 minutes over the several hour thing, and nobody was like surprised, or nobody said it was an issue that people are committing, you know, acts of terrorism because of things that people in the federal government are saying and promoting, like with the vaccine hesitancy. So I've been trying to call in for a while about this, but it's just, yeah, it continues to just blow my mind.
Yep. We're in an ugly time. We're in an ugly time. Appreciate the call.
Thanks for taking my call. Bye.
Bad enchilada. What do you think of Trump possibly bailing out Argentina? As far as I can tell, it's on. He's already put in. We're trying to find a guest for this, and so if anybody has like a name of a good writer to come on and talk about this, but Milei, his entire project has been a what appears to be abject failure. Their bond market is in a major crisis. And apparently what we're going in is basically buying up of the bonds or backing the bonds with $20 billion. We have already put in at least 20 billion and maybe another like 22 from like the World Bank, which is essentially us. The stock market, their bubble popped. Their economy is in a free fall. Their currency is garbage. And now we're basically backstopping. The U.S. is discussing a $20 billion swap line with Argentina. This is from Bloomberg. And is ready to buy up the country's dollar bonds, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent said. Where are all those people in the in MAGA who are like, no more money, like America first?
Yeah,
America first. Particularly those Americans who might have some like I don't know investments in Argentina. Treasury is currently in negotiation with the Argentine officials for a $20 billion swap line with the central bank. We're working in close coordination with the Argentine government to prevent excessive volatility. That is a message to people who own investments there. Don't worry. Argentina markets, which have been roiled in the past few weeks after a weak showing by Milei in a local election, have surged this week in anticipation of U.S. support. I mean, we're just bailing out rich people.
Going to be like a $20 billion chainsaw.
He did this apparently in 2018. He pushed the IMF to approve a $50 billion program for the country. But that deal fell apart.
Libertarians first.
Milei, free market champion.
A lot of people were touting that as a success just like 2 months ago.
2 months ago.
Niall Ferguson, particularly.
Oh, they were just blowing the horn. It's like, man, I operate without a safety net, but with a couple of ropes that are actually attached to some cranes above me. No safety net here, man. Just these long, like huge.
It's easy to be a libertarian when you know the cops got your back.
Exactly. Yep. Calling from a 308 area code. Who's this? Where are you calling from?
Hey, it is Kowalski from Nebraska.
Kowalski from Nebraska. What's on your mind, Kowalski?
Well, did you know that we're in the midst of a farm crisis?
I did, in fact. Yes. But
we don't know what happened. We don't know where it came from. There are no seeming causes. It's just, one of those things. Tide comes in, tide goes out.
Tide goes in, tide goes out, and then also maybe somebody has a seawall.
Yes. Just wanted to give everyone here a quick agricultural update, but we are on the verge of harvest here in central Nebraska. We intend on cutting beans tomorrow, and they will be the second cheapest beans I have ever cut.
What was the lowest price in the past for beans that you've encountered? And when was that?
Well, it depends, because technically the price being lower a few years ago makes sense. The value of the dollar was higher, so portions out. But as far as ROI, or I guess in this instance negative ROI, this is worse. The worst I personally lived through was 2018. And we don't know what caused that one either. Might have just been another one of those tidal situations. Definitely nothing to do with us angering our largest trading partner.
Right. And
yeah.
Now, what specifically walk us through this beans? We're not going to sell. There's tariffs on. We're not going to sell to China. Who would be normally the biggest market for beans?
Well, it's China.
Oh.
They are.
Whoops.
Almost 40% of the foreign market.
And so, are they? How much do they make of the foreign market now for beans?
For us, zero.
That seems like a big drop off. Who is stepping in? Surely somebody must be going somewhere around the world we should eat a lot more beans now.
Well, the big issue we have on that is the primary thing China buys our beans for is for livestock feed. They are the number one hog producers in the world, and they require a lot of grain. Simply, the United States, we have a higher cost of production because, labor costs here are a bit higher, our equipment's higher, and we pay probably higher taxes, although I'm not sure how you ratio that. But the thing that has always been cheap for us has been transportation because, we got the Mississippi River, and it's pretty easy to just throw things on a boat and let it float. This whole transportation issue is actually going to cause regional disparities in the farmer crisis. The big places to pay attention to are going to be Montana and North Dakota because historically all of their grain goes on an east-west rail line, mostly to the west to a port near Seattle, and then that goes to the Asian markets. That is basically cut off. So right now on the Chicago border.
Why is that cut off? Because there's no Asian markets anymore, or what?
Well, yeah, China was the big Asian market.
Okay.
So the only places we export beans to are places that are purchasing it to feed to livestock. So as of right now, the only places that would be buying that would be maybe some African countries, maybe a couple European countries, although they're almost self-sufficient with grain. The Middle East is a bigger market, so going east makes more sense than going west. So right now there is more pressure on those farmers up there in the north because
they used to sell to the west,
west,
and there's no way that they can go send it down to the Gulf of Mexico and get it on a ship.
Correct. And then for the folks in the south, they're in a similar boat because almost everything they produce was for the export market. We are a little bit shielded in the greater Midwest because this is where most of our ethanol is produced. This is where most of the livestock is, especially when it comes to feedlots. So we have domestic use here. It's just we still rely on exports. But the issue is when we go to export, we're just flooding the guys downstream. The guys downstream can't push boats upstream. That would be cost ineffective. So, like, people in Arkansas are going to suffer more than the people in Missouri. The people in Missouri will suffer more than the people in Iowa. And the people of Iowa suffer because they're in Iowa.
Interesting. And so they'll sell it, and then all of a sudden it'll go down to a bigger market, and there's just going to be a ton of stuff and no buyers.
Yes, and one of the parts about this people need to keep in mind is that I've mentioned this many times. Farmers are price takers. We have monopolies on one end, monopsonies on the other. Transportation companies are not going to lose money. They will simply raise the cost of transportation until they get a 5% return. Farmers will end up bearing that cost because we also have no purchasing power when it comes to our inputs. If the people we buy our seed from or fertilizer from want 5% returns, they raise the price until they get 5% returns. There is no going around this. So all of this is going to be borne by the equity of farmers because they will have to borrow against their assets to finance this short-term loss, if it's short-term. It could be a long-term problem. And the issue with that right now is with these higher interest rates, it would be more difficult to refinance, which means a lot of banks are now looking at their spreadsheets and going, does it make more sense for us to take this farm and sell it or refinance these farmers? For the most part, the banks will say foreclose on these farmers because most local banks are dead. So we're probably going to see a very large spike in bankruptcies if there is not a massive government-backed refinancing scheme, which is basically what they did under Reagan.
Do you think there's going to be one? I mean, I just wonder if they think that if they can sustain the. I have a feeling that the Trump White House is not going to engage in a bailout because then it would have to concede that they have screwed up, and they won't do that before the midterms.
Yeah, I don't think they'll be doing that. They will do something. They almost always do something, but from my understanding, it would take basically brand new legislation until the big, beautiful bill provisions get processed through. So I would imagine there'll be somewhat of a relief check payment going out. There are some apparatuses the USDA has, but a lot of people point out back in 2018, there was a $90 billion bailout for farmers. Sounds like a lot. That is a lot of money. That was about half of the total economic impact, though. Farmers still had to refinance because they still took massive losses. And there isn't a lot of people who've dove into this, but I truly do believe that had it not been for the COVID relief payments, which were given out to small businesses, we likely would have just seen a perpetual crisis in the agricultural sector. I think those payments went through. It stabilized things for smaller and medium-sized farms. And then when the Russians decided to invade Ukraine, it caused a global grain shortage, which caused prices to spike, which kind of fixed everything for everyone outside of Ukraine, obviously. There are just a lot of factors at play there, but I think we're on the verge of something that's going to be pretty gnarly to deal with. I mentioned this on Left Reckoning. As much as I blame Trump for all of this, the second person I blame is Chuck Schumer. Tariffs are a choice for the Senate to allow the executive to get away with.
The passing of the budget resolution in whatever it was, March, also basically allowed for the abdication of their authority on tariffs. So it makes it much harder for the Republicans to take the blame. Also, it seems to me, just as a political matter, why is Chuck Schumer out there not saying, we need to save our farmers? We need a bailout right now for the farmers. It's just so.
It's the easiest political layup you could think of.
It's so Easy. Because then if Trump does it, you get the credit. If Trump doesn't do it, you get the credit for promoting it. You're also raising the consciousness of the American public that there's something seriously, there's a tsunami coming in terms of the farmers.
Yeah. And I mean, just as like, I would also say there's a bit of like a national security argument with it as well, because farmers are basically the economic foundation to a lot of the more rural communities. If those are financially, destabilized, you're talking about more rural flight because there'll be less money circulating locally, which it's just going to add to more of the housing pressure in the more urban areas, greater strain on urban school systems, it's greater strain on rural school systems because they're being underutilized now. So it's just like, this is just massively destabilizing. It's like how, you spend $1 in the economy and it generates like $3 in return.
Yep.
Just imagine that, but across all of the rural counties. And rural counties only make up like 20% of the population, but you're talking about just vast swaths of the country that will just become dilapidated if this continues. And, obviously one of the worst parts about this is if it perpetuates for too long, corporate farms will end up buying up a lot of the smaller farms. So the money generated by those small farms won't be spent locally. All of that now gets pumped out to places like Wall Street or whatever exchanges they have in, like, say, London or Paris, because those multinational corporations do not spend money locally. They have no incentive. That also then adds pressure to your environment because a corporation doesn't care if the local water supply is poisoned.
Right.
They don't drink the water. They don't care. At the very least, local farmers hunt and fish here and don't want to be eating lead.
Right, and
That's always
their
been
neighbors.
somewhat of a saving grace. Yeah. So this has the potential to be very, very bad. Now, the one caveat I will mention, just because of the added impacts of climate change, there is a chance next year a horrible drought hits Australia or Brazil or Argentina. The U.S. would bounce back. Or if the Russians decided to, attack Northern Europe for some reason, I guess, potentially, but I'm pretty sure Poland will win that. So, that, or if the U.S. somehow facilitated that through, I don't know, strategically attacking someone. I guess we could blockade Brazil conceivably, although that seems problematic on a lot of levels. So,
well, let's hope for
It's a small
something
country.
really tragic to happen somewhere else in the world.
Oh, I will leave you with this, though, just because Argentina was brought up. A buddy of mine sent me an article about this. He believes the reason that we bailed them out is because a lot of the money that has already been loaned to Argentina was by American hedge funds, and this is a way for the American taxpayer to bail out Argentina to pay back our hedge funds. So it's just a transfer of money back to American hedge
Sounds
funds.
fair. Sounds fair.
The global cooperation of the far right is truly astounding. So, but I guess I will leave you with that. There is no good news. So you all have a good one.
Always great to hear from you. Thank you, Kowalski. Kowalski
Bye.
from Nebraska, cheering everybody up. They say it's always darkest, and then it just stays dark.
It gets darker and darker.
And they're darker and darker. And then you just slowly drift off.
Hey, look on the bright side. There could be a famine somewhere next year.
We could get lucky. That's why global climate change, you have to look at it like we're in the high ground. And so the rising sea levels, it just means our property gets more valuable.
Yeah, and if you need to go out of business, Bill Gates will be happy to take that farm off your hands for you.
Mar-a-Lago in the high ground of Florida.
Left is strange. Sam, I know a fellow New Englander when I hear it called the Packy. No one here in New York understands me.
That unlocked an ancient memory for me.
Ancient?
Yeah, feels ancient.
But to me, I still hear, I'm going to the Packy. I got to get... DNC Google Punt. Packy store. Will from Minnesota. Hey, Sam, any explanation what's being streamed on the Majority Report live channel on weekends?
Me playing Madden.
What are we doing?
I don't know.
Are we streaming stuff on the weekend now?
Jamie from the, I honestly don't know. Jamie from the UK. Hi, Sam, Emma, Matt, Brian. I wanted to ask, isn't it a problem that Zoran backtracked on globalize the Intifada? I feel a bit unsure, as most progressives don't seem to be mentioning it much. I saw this tweet from Palestinian journalist and Palestine correspondent for The Nation, Mohammed El Kurd, and he's one of the few people who've been challenging him on it. I don't think he ever said that, A. But B, if he backtracked on it, I wouldn't be surprised as a political matter.
I think he said he's not going to encourage it. I don't think he ever actually said he condemns it. Maybe I missed something. But, I mean, I don't think it's the ultimate... I understand why, like, activists on the Palestine issue are upset with it, and it's appropriate for them. And even me, like, we talked about this on Left Reckoning, like, not happy about those sorts of sops to it. But he also backtracked on calling the NYPD a racist institution, and people were pissed off about that.
Much more aggressively.
Well, and then the very next day, he said he's going to get the NYPD to arrest Bibi Netanyahu.
I mean,
so, like, you know, this is politics.
Yep. I mean, that's basically it. There is not going to be any politician who is going to be 100% of what we want. And the question becomes, like, you know, where are the compromises? And I am okay with some rhetorical compromises. When he says he's going to keep, when he's asked about the police stuff, he says, my campaign's not been about that. We intend to keep current funding, current police levels, and then add essentially other community safety workers, which, you know, at the end of the day is exactly what, my interpretation of defund the police was.
It's also the socialist one. I mean, India Walton up in Buffalo also made this pivot years ago when she won the actual primary and then lost in the general. But the problem, the defund is not a socialist slogan. You need to point towards some sort of positive agenda rather than just say no. and the state does have a role in community safety, so there does need to be something like that. But I'll just say, like, the trade-off of saying, okay, I'll take back what I said about calling the NYPD racist and then get the NYPD to pledge to arrest Netanyahu is a trade that I would make every single time.
Harry Emden, Zoran has a pretty tremendous ability to concede on rhetoric without moving an inch on policy. Personally, I think that's a good thing for socialists to be pragmatic.
Especially the socialist politicians.
Yes. Everybody has their role. I think Jesse wants to F Stephen Miller. I don't know if that's true, but who knows? Gregarious Christ. Failed libertarian is redundant. The people's eyebrow, Pete Hoekstra, can F off into the sun. Some leaves refuse to fall. Let's play this 14 and 16. The Trump administration, we just heard from Nebraska, Kowalski from Nebraska. Chuck, you're doing great. And we just heard from Kowalski from Nebraska outline for us what he sees as a farmer with his soybeans having their lowest sale price ever that he's about to harvest. This because we have lost 40% of our foreign market in terms of the Chinese. We are seeing a slow motion train of farmers hitting the wall. He anticipates a lot of foreclosures. Here's number 14. Laura Ingraham had Agricultural Secretary Brooke Rollins on talking about the rise in beef prices. And she's talking about there is a national security if we can't feed ourselves. But what we're looking at is crushing debt on farmers because of our trade policy. One of the ways that you keep capacity, and by capacity, I mean, like, you need to have farmers if you're going to feed yourself. It is much easier, for whatever reason, we can't feed ourselves, to convert exports to just moving around the country when you have farmers than it is to have no farmers and then get people to be farmers again. So just to understand that dynamic, when we are on the cusp of a major crisis in terms of farmers existing. I mean, even J.D. Vance became a partner in a hedge fund that buys up foreclosed farmland. I mean, he probably knows something.
No corruption there.
Now, here is Brooke Rollins.
Okay, so the halting of the cattle trade with Mexico, and a lot of Americans don't know that we get so much of our beef from Mexico, but we do. So it's drastically reduced compared to the first half of 2024. So we've bought 63% less live animals from our southern neighbor.
That's right.
So is there a concern that our costs are going to continue to go up because affordability is a big issue for American consumers? I was just at the grocery store this morning. Yes, I go to the grocery store. Thank you very much. And there were 2 steaks.
Yeah.
It was $33 for 2 steaks at the grocery store. And these weren't fancy steaks. They were just, maybe they were little filet mignons. I don't know, but they were little.
Yeah.
$32.
So
Pause it for 1 second.
We talked about eggs.
Here's where you can see this. The number of Hamburger Helper commercials that I have seen in the past, like 2 weeks. I watch a lot of Red Sox, but almost all the commercials are Hamburger Helper ads. And that is because when you start to see people cut back on meat, the first thing they do is buy Hamburger Helper. That is like a leading indicator that prices are going up or people can't afford meat because they start putting more filler in it when they make it for their families.
Like the baby laxatives and cocaine.
I mean, yeah. It depends on what market.
Of course.
Maybe.
I heard that in a song.
Brian's telling a little too much about himself.
Military story.
Exactly. But that's what's going on here. So prices are going up, but they're going to make it like it's an isolated thing.
Fancy steaks. They were just, maybe they were little filet mignons. I don't know, but they were little. Yeah. $32.
So here's the thing. We talked about eggs months ago when the price of eggs were so high. The problem, the challenge, I'll say, with our cattle and our beef industry is that it takes 2 years from calf to slaughter. But Laura, here's I don't know if it's the silver lining, but the long-term vision. Just like our manufacturing that we have offshored for years that you've been such a leader on, we've also offshored our food, our beef cattle, our citrus. So much of this we're now importing from other countries like Mexico. This is a massive flag for our country. If we can't feed ourselves, this is a national security issue that has to be solved.
Is there a plan for us to be food secure? Because right now, China is an issue that, I'm focused on.
Brazil, that's exactly.
Listen, I think, there's some value in this, but the idea that we're not going to get foods from Mexico, like, of all places, there are 2 countries where all we need is roads to get stuff here. And that's Canada and Mexico. It's one thing to say, like, we don't want to have all of our vital infrastructure technology in China, produced in China because things like COVID or whatnot. But getting stuff from Mexico is the easiest thing that we can do. And it's quite possible, I guess, at this rate, that Donald Trump could alienate Mexico so much that they wouldn't want to sell stuff to us. But understand that, like, we're diminishing their capacity too. And there is the idea that we're going to have more available land. I mean, I guess, and we're going to lose farmers and people are going to start farming again once, the idea is that we're going to feed our own cattle. This is just so haphazard and willy-nilly. It's not, it is not in and of itself a bad idea to try and maintain secure supply lines and to focus on what are specific needs that we have and vulnerabilities, but none of that's been done here.
No, we're all going to be poorer. So for some nebulous concept of national security.
Saying that Mexico gets a 20% tariff because of fentanyl is not a way of developing some type of food resiliency in this country. That's just not the way it works. Here is an example of a farmer in
Missouri.
Speaking to Representative Mark Alford.
I think agriculture has taken a heck of a hit on a lot of misinformation, and he is not helping the farmer. I mean, we farm about 3,500 acres.
Oh, pause it for a second. What is this? A bunch of, what are these?
Antifa
Is this
blue
from
hairs?
Brooklyn? Are these guys from Brooklyn? Are these like podcasters from Brooklyn clapping back there?
What vegan restaurant was this recorded at?
Exactly. No, I'm sorry, Harrisburg, Missouri. Oh, okay.
Farm. I mean, we farm about 3,500 acres. We are going to be so far in the red after the crop comes off, sold, you can only sit on it so long. You got bills to pay, and now we're dealing with 7, 8, 9, 10% operating notes at the local bank. You know, when are you going to stand up for us instead of kissing his ass for these trade deals? And the tariffs, more so the tariffs than the trade. Okay. I think agriculture.
First of all, did you see that crowd size? I just looked it up. This town has 271 people in Harrisburg, Missouri.
There's like a
It's
45,
the biggest event in
50,
years.
It's like literally 1/3 of the town.
According to the 2020 census, 271.
It's in Boones County, Missouri, where Nathaniel Boone family settled down.
Oh, that sounds like a blue bastion there.
Exactly.
Jeez. Meanwhile, you only get the truth from Republicans when they're resigning. That's it.
Yep.
It's the only time. Guarantee any Republican who goes on record in criticizing what's going on in the Republican Party, guaranteed they are resigning at the end of their term or tomorrow.
It must feel like such a relief, like it's your senior year and you don't need to care about biology anymore.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Here is Representative Ron Bacon from Nebraska on with Manu Raju talking about the whole tariff issue.
Different. Do you think he's overreaching on tariffs?
I think he is by far. Article 1 of the Constitution clearly gives us to Congress. Granted, we passed 3 laws in the last century, nothing recently, but the last century that gives the president emergency powers. But most people will tell you this is not emergency powers what he's doing.
And is it hurting your constituents?
Yes, right. We heard just yesterday, we have a company that makes combines. They're moving all of their manufacturing that makes combines for Canada to Europe. Because of the tariffs from going to U.S. to Canada are too high, they can't compete. So they're going to move all the manufacturing for Canadian combines to Europe. That's hundreds of jobs right there. Iowa and Nebraska are really struggling right now with our farm economy. We're not growing markets for corn and soybeans. The president's making trade deals, but not a single country that I can see has bought more corn or soybeans. And that's what we really need right now.
Yep.
And Ryan Grimm corroborated this. As I can report that the company Bacon mentioned here, which is moving some of its production from Nebraska to Europe because of tariffs, is Class, which manufactures combines. And Grimm comments, it's no longer cost effective for them to produce combines for the Canadian market here in the United States, so they're moving production thousands of miles away to dodge the trade war.
Again, there's roads connecting those two places too.
Exactly. They're going to increase their transportation costs probably by whatever percent, 25%, 50%, 100%.
If people look at a combine, it's kind of a heavy thing to ship across water.
And they're doing that. And I got news for you. That company is never coming back. This is not a temporary thing. They are never coming back. First of all, even if they could be guaranteed, Tim Walz will be president in 2029. They're still never coming back because they're like, well, what's to prevent J.D. Vance from being president in 2032? They're not coming back.
Just killing companies. And this is the sort of thing, this company's been around since the 70s, I guess. But the same thing happened in the UK with the Brexit stuff, and people's standard of living was crashing, and they blamed trade, just generically trade, not capitalists or anything like that, but trade. And so you got Brexit, and now everyone's lives are still worse. And what are they doing? They're rioting against migrants. And a lot of companies died because Brexit was bad for them.
Now, how would you deal with people being aware of what the right wing is doing to this country? Well, the idea, of course, is to undermine their education as dramatically as possible. Yesterday, I missed Jennifer Welch on the show. But she was on, and she was talking about this guy, Ryan Walters, who is from Oklahoma. Let's hear what she had to say. This is a clip. Do you have that clip? Yeah. This is Emma and Jennifer Welch on yesterday talking about Ryan Walters. I've talked about Ryan Walters before. This guy, well, first off, he got caught looking at porn, which, I have no issues with, but apparently for him, that's a big problem. This guy,
I hate when a TV accidentally plays pornography.
Exactly
in a meeting.
You've got to get that's the problem with the new TVs today. It's all auto porn. You got to set that. You got to toggle that to auto porn off.
I had the porn screensaver on.
But I also remember him, we played a clip of him in the election, and it was he was full on racist, denying stuff about you look that up, about the Civil War or whatnot. But here is Emma and Jennifer yesterday.
Only see Ryan Walters, and he's on the local news all the time when he comes on the national news. And I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe it. But here's the thing about Ryan Walters. There is a local blogger named The Lost Ogle, and he has these people that are called the Ogle Moles. Somebody sent him, and you can Google it and find the picture. Ryan Walters is sitting on a bench with this guy, and they're touching each other's inner thighs. It's totally gay. I mean, it's just as gay as it gets, right? Which comes as a surprise to no one that he's slapping, tickling when.
Okay. I didn't realize this was what we're talking about. We'll find that picture in a moment, but I want to just show this. Here is when a right-wing politician is feeling heat for getting caught with porn, feeling heat for stuff that is, would not be, is scandalous to his base. What he's got to do is get extra right wing. And this guy's constantly looking for a way. And this is what he's done. He is now mandating that high schools in Oklahoma have TPUSA chapters. Check this out.
I'm excited to announce today that every Oklahoma high school will have a Turning Point USA chapter. We have seen the outpouring from parents, teachers, and students that want to be engaged in the meaningful work going on at Turning Point. I'm excited.
Did we find that picture? See if you can find that picture that Jennifer was talking about. I want to judge this myself.
It's from The Lost Ogle.
I mean, oh boy.
Pants a little bit tight, especially around the middle area.
Yeah. It's almost like he's hiding something for whatever. I mean, look, love is love.
Yes.
And I don't even care if it wasn't even love. When you're young, sow your oats. But you'll start to see more and more reactionary stuff from guys who are feeling like they are threatened with being found to be not as wholesome as their followers and expect them to be. I mean, we saw this This was a very big dynamic in the aughts where you had virulently anti-gay, secretly gay Republicans. And it is not as favorable within the Republican coalition to be as anti-gay as it was then. It went out of style for a while and then came back into favor. But so they've got to find some other way of proving their right-wing bona fides. You know, we'll do maybe on Friday. I want to play that clip from, I had tweeted it out, of the Groypers going at Charlie Kirk in 2017.
Yes.
Because it was really relevant, because I don't think there's been a time in the past 2 or 3 years at least where Charlie Kirk would get on stage with an open gay man. Maybe it did, and if people have seen it, send it in to me.
What was his last Dave Rubin thing?
But he was on stage with this, and I don't know who the guy was, and trying to appeal to young people in 2017, where it was not as fashionable to be anti-gay as it is today. And he got hammered by that, by the Groypers. And it's quite clear that Charlie Kirk has moved to the right over the course of those 7 years, 8 years.
Let's contrast his opinions on MLK over that time.
Yep. Oh, the guy was black too. The guy who was on stage with.
Gay black guy.
Yeah, these sexual matadors are going to kill us. They're going to get us all killed.
Yep. All right, one more call. One more call.
Oklahoma 50th in education, by the way.
And also hired Chaya Rychik into their Department of Education.
Ellison Prager, you too.
All right, final call of the day. Calling from a 561 area code. Who's this? Where are you calling from?
Hello, guys. Can you hear me?
Yep. Who's this? Where are you calling from?
Hey, guys. This is Michael from Boca Raton.
Michael from Boca Raton. Still got Tequila Willies down there?
Tequila what?
Tequila Willies?
I don't recall. No. I mean, I also been sober since April 1st, so I don't really drink as much as I used to.
Well, it was there 40 years ago when I went to Boca Raton for spring break. So.
Oh, well, I'm 29 now, so yeah, that we've had a lot of ups and downs on business.
You kids
here,
have really missed out. I'm sorry.
We still have Tin Roof. If you never went there by Del Rey, we have Tin Roof.
No. I just went to Tequila Willie's. That was the only place I went to. Oh, we just drove through there. Go ahead.
No worries.
Sorry.
No worries. This is my second time calling. First time I called was back in June. I know you guys get 1,000 calls every month, but the TLDR would be like when I spoke to you about the Diet Republican situation with Alyssa Slotkin and my current Congressman Jared Moskowitz, who I ended up getting an auto reply, but still no details on that. And basically, the new topic I want to talk about with you and question and thoughts is what I believe is we're now in at least in the last 10 years of data for sure. What are your thoughts on that? We're on the shameless economy. So I define the shameless economy as in you're just so profitable to not know shame, because by not showing shame, you're not guilty, and if no guilty, you're not liable in the state of court, right?
Yeah.
So the three examples I wanted to provide is we all know about, the Charlie Kirk situation, but at the same time, every right-wing grifter in the last 10 years has made millions of dollars, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars, being bigoted to reprehensible to even unethical, right? But at the end of the day, shameless. And then back in May, if you recall the story about Shiloh Hendricks, the white mother who called the black autistic child a hard R racial slur, she made over $800,000 in her Give, Send, Go campaign, acting like the victim. But again, she was shameless about it and has made well over $500,000. And her only punishment, as far as I saw, was 4 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago. She's getting charged for a misdemeanor for that crime. But if it's a misdemeanor, with all said and done, after lawyer fees, with $800,000 in reduced on go should then end up being profitable. And then lastly, Emma spoke about, and understandably, like we should not no one should be embracing ICE as part of the recruitment strategy. But sadly, I don't see the Democrats giving alternatives to ICE in the sense of like, hey, don't apply for ICE even though they're paying a living wage. Apply for XYZ job, you know. And I've been unemployed since December of last year, and it's just really tough to find a job that's like not really paying less than $20 an hour without going 3 phases of interview and then getting told the generic, sorry, we decided to go a different route. Like, you can't expect bilingual individuals like myself to not embrace these opportunities when I want to keep as much career integrity as possible.
Yeah, I mean that last part is very difficult. I mean, the only thing I can tell you is if you got to take a job with ICE because you can't find any other work, then it's probably good to figure out a way in which you can undermine the project while you're getting paid for it. Brian is an expert at that. Actually, Brian almost crashed the entire U.S. military.
Well, I do have family members who are dealing with undocumentation. I've told them cynically, I was like, well, what if I did apply for them just so I can get some back-end data and text you guys from behind the scenes like, hey, watch out, they're coming to Boca, or hey, watch out, start packing your bags, just to give them a head start.
Well,
but at the same time,
I would have two words
I would like to
for you.
run for politics
Burner
someday.
phone. And don't do it on the on anybody's Wi-Fi. That
yeah, you are running a massive risk.
Oh no, yeah, but I again, I'm just talking about it like facetiously, cynically. I wouldn't want to actually do something.
no,
like
I
that.
get what you're saying.
But I mean, what does the Democratic Party have to offer instead of ICE that the Republicans are offering currently? If you don't mind me asking.
Oh, I can answer that. We're not them. What else are you gonna do? That's the answer.
I mean, aside from, I guess I could start drop shipping like Chuck Schumer glasses from this point forward.
Not a bad idea.
That's a good Chuck.
Not a bad idea,
What
Chuck.
a good Chuck.
I'm Chuck. I'm Chuck. Yeah. Okay. What? Yeah. No, I agree with you. It is the Democratic Party. The leadership of the Democratic Party has decided the best way to deal with this rising authoritarianism is to play possum. That's what they think. To offer no response on anything other than this is bad, then what are you going to do?
It's like the Sox needing the Astros to lose to get into the playoffs.
Yep.
And I understand like the cost of business that you have to put your capital at risk. But I mean, is there any incentive we can give these businesses to actually put their capital at risk? Like for instance, the strategy of just tax cut this and low interest rate that just to lay off people is so predictable. Like what's stopping Democrats or even bipartisanship to be like, hey, if you want these tax cuts, you have to show you've employed 100,000 new workers, and those 100,000 workers have been hold on that job for 2 years, and after 2 years, then it's a deferred tax cut. Because otherwise, like just giving them tax cuts, low interest rates.
You could do. There's all different ways to use the tax code to incentivize these things. But apparently, it's the real problem is that there's too many groups out there causing regulations to happen. I'm being facetious, but yeah, no, what you're saying is true. All right, appreciate the call. I wish I had a better answer for you. The best we can.
Yeah, no, and I agree. I mean, obviously, the only thing I strive for everyone is, keep fighting, don't give up, unionize wherever you can, and even right now, I do my own Boca Rio run club every Monday. I'm organizing myself, and just the little things that I can, even with my unemployed ass, like just don't give up, keep striving, and something's bound to prosper, no doubt.
Hope springs eternal. I appreciate the comment. Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Sorry, missed out on Tequila Willie's. They had waitresses walking around with like one of those like gun belts, but instead of gun belts, it was bottles of tequila. Instead of bullets, there were shot glasses, and they would go.
How else do you get through the Iran Contra controversy or
19
whatever was going
years
on?
old on spring break. I mean, it wasn't my Tequila Willie's was not my kind of scene, but it was my kind of spring break. That was me going into the
voyeurism. Or whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It was totally. I couldn't even imagine something like that existed. All right, folks. I'm going to read 2 more IMs and then get out of here. Triple extreme medium. How long before Kank's association with Epstein is whitewashed as a business decision?
Kanks is Trump. That's Jennifer Welch's nickname because of his cankles.
Okay. And number 13. Why do white people keep voting for the party that does the same damage over and over again?
White people voting for Republican?
What are you going to do?
Is this the...
I don't know where that one is. That doesn't look like...
Different Tequila Willie's, maybe.
Yeah, that doesn't look like the one from...
oh, yeah, that's not Boca Raton, I guess.
That is not Boca Raton.
That's some,
that looks like
Rust
New
Belt
England,
city.
Yeah, like
Pennsylvania.
Ohio. Matt, Ryan, Emma, and Abstentia, great job today. Folks, Emma will be here tomorrow. Bye-bye.
It might take all the strength I got to get to where I want, but I know somehow I'm gonna get there. I wasn't looking when I just got caught between the truth and the lie bar, but finding out won't make me feel any better. Yeah, I know the clock is ticking, but the meds are gonna kick in, and my pilot light shining bright. I guess somewhere the choice was made for the option where you don't get paid, for the road that bends before it finally breaks you. I guess somehow I lost my drive between the 101 and the 5. Do you know how far the detour takes you? Yeah, I know the clock is ticking, but the meds are gonna kick in, and my pilot light shining bright. The months drifted into years while I shifted in and out